All right, so your quiz tomorrow, I would say the challenge of this one is that it is, you guys focus, is that it is 3 very different sections. Like typically there's one that kind of bleeds into the other that's like we're just adding something to it, but these are 3 very different. So there's a lot of content on the quiz, okay? It's 12 questions total. I want to say there's 8 multiple choice, 2 open-ended, and 2 graphing. There's no calculator the whole time, okay? There are no AP style questions, like there's no like crazy hard questions, but there's solving, which is kind of, those are AP style questions. And it's a mix of multiple choice and open-ended. So when we go through the solving, we'll talk about like how important it is to pay attention to instructions and stuff.
Isn't 310 part 2?
All right, so we start with 310, okay? First thing in 310 is this is where it's really important to pay attention to your instructions. There are either solve the equation or it's solve the equation on the interval of 0 to 2 pi, okay? On an open-ended question, that's where you got to really pay attention to it. On a multiple choice, you'll know. Either the interval is there or it's not, right? But on the open-ended ones, you've got to make sure you pay attention to what, am I supposed to add the interval on or not? So if it gives you the interval, if it says solve on the interval of 0 to 2 pi, then we're going to solve something like sine of x equals a half, and we literally just list all of the angles in which sine is a half. These would be pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. Thank you. Okay, so I would just pull from the whole circle. I don't add an interval on. Now, if it doesn't have an interval, so it just says literally solve or solve the equation, right? This is where I have to pay attention to what to add. If my equation is sine and cosine, then I use the whole circle and I add 2n pi. If it's tan, I use only the top and I add n pi. And this is also the one where if it's a redundant answer, they'll like take out the second set of it. So for example, if it said sine of x equals plus and minus 1/2, that answer is technically all the over 6's, right? So if it was on the interval of 0 to 2 pi, I would do pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6. But if it's not on the interval and it's multiple choice, it's not going to have every over 6 plus 2n pi. If it was open-ended, I don't care if you do this, to be honest. It's not that it's wrong. 2n pi and 11 pi over 6 plus 2n pi, okay? But if it's multiple choice, it's going to eliminate the repeated ones and condense it down. It's going to take just the first and second quadrant, and instead of adding 2 pi, we add n pi. So on the open-ended, I would take either answer. But on the multiple choice, you're not going to see them all listed. So don't panic. Make sure you understand what it means. Yeah.
Could I also do pi over 6 plus pi over 2?
Sure. It wouldn't be a multiple choice, but that's not wrong. Yeah. Because if it's all the over 4s, it's also every quarter of the circle, which is pi over 2. So questions on the difference between those instructions, because again, that's super important. Okay, then we got to the tricky ones within this section were the multiple angle ones, okay? So think about now that we know what we know from yesterday and what this example specifically says, this could get confusing, right? Because that says sine of 2x, which after yesterday, we could think that that's what? A double angle. There are times in which it won't matter and you could actually use either one to solve. But let's say we mistaken this for a double angle and did 2 sine x cosine x equals 1/2. I could divide by 2. And I get sine x times cosine x equals 1/4. Now I could like try to figure out what sine of an angle and cosine of the angle would multiply together to give me the 1/4. But it gets really complicated. I can't split this and set them each equal to 1/4. That only works if it's 0, right? So a double angle would not work here. On cosine 2u, it's more common to like be able to use them interchangeably. So instead, you're going to use it as, which means I'm going to find the sine at a half and set it equal to 2x instead of just x. So where did we say sine was a half? Pi over 6 plus 2n pi and 5 pi over 6 plus 2n pi. And then I would divide everything by 2. So I get x equals pi over 12 plus n pi. and pi over 6 equal, or x equals 5 pi over 12 plus n pi. So the multiple angle ones have the work after you find the angle. So first figure out where that exists. God bless you. Add the interval, but then adjust both the angle and the interval. So I know it's been a week, but I don't know if you remember, we said the pain in the butt ones here, if they gave you the interval and you had to actually add on like that n pi and see if it fell between 0 and 2 pi, not on your quiz. Like it's going to come back when we get to polar, but I didn't put it on the quiz. So it won't give you the interval. It'll just say solve, which means you have to add on the interval and you have to adjust the interval and the angle. All right, so then if it said sine of x over 2, same concept. I'm going to say x over 2 equals where sine is 1/2, which we just said was pi over 6, plus 2n pi, and also 5 pi over 6, plus 2n pi, and this time we're going to multiply by 2. So x equals pi over 3 plus 4n pi and 5 pi over 3 plus 4n pi.
Would this be a first one?
Yeah. I think. I'm pretty sure. No, for sure. I think. Okay. Then came 311. So actually, all right. Then 311 was the graphs and the secant, the cosecant, the cotangent functions just evaluating. So if it said something like secant of x equals 2, this means the cosine of x would equal 1/2. And then I'd give the answers. In this case, it says from 0 to 2 pi, in which cosine is 1/2, which would be what?
Pi over
3 and
2, 5 pi, I think.
5. Nope.
Over 4.
Nope.
Over 3.
It's the same denominator. 5 pi over 3. Okay. So as a refresher, this is what has to be in your brain, right? These are your quadrant angles. The yellow is the tans. Add it, and I'm just going to do like one of each angle. So at the over 6, it's root 3 over 2, 1/2, and the tan is root 3 over 3. At the over 4, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and the tan is 1. And the over 3, 1/2, root 3 over 2. All right, and then I wrote it but didn't say it out loud. Tan at the over 3 is root 3, okay? And then first quadrant is the regular, second quadrant, 1 less, third quadrant, 1 more, fourth quadrant, 1 less than double. We know these, right? Okay. So then it could ask you sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, cotangent of any of those values, okay? If it's your original functions, then you're just looking for where they're located. If it's a reciprocal function, we're flipping it and then looking for where it's located. Yep. Name the graphs. So the graph of secant, we are going to graph cosine. So you'll graph cosine like this one. This is a graph of cosine in here, okay? Everywhere there's a 0 becomes your asymptotes. And then everywhere there's a maximum becomes the curve. And everywhere the minimum becomes the curve pointing down. The asymptotes for secant occur at the quarter key point, right? Because the first 0 on sine is not at 0, it's at the quarter point. So if I wanted to know, if you wanted to give the equations of the asymptotes, it would be a quarter the key point plus half the period, because these happen every half period. We'll do an example of this hopefully in a second, okay? And it would be x equals that, or theta equals that, depending on, either of those are fine. But you want to give it in equation form. For cosecant, we're graphing sine. So this one starts here, goes up, down, back up again. And the asymptotes run through the zeros. And the parabolas bounce off the top and the bottom. The asymptotes for cosecant occur at 0 plus half the period times k, because the first asymptote occurs at 0. So not a quarter of the way in like cosine does, but actually at the very start point. And again, x equals would be your asymptotes because they are lines. At half a period. Yep. So if it says graph and write the asymptotes, that's what you're doing.
So we find the first thing we're going to do with any of the equations is always find the period.
Well, it doesn't have to be the first thing. Like I tend to find A first. Like I do A, amplitude, B, period, phase shift, vertical shift. And then comes cotangent. So like I said before, you're getting one of these. You're either going to get a secant or a cosecant, okay? But then you're for sure getting a cotan. So the cotangent graph, similar to the tangent graph, the A is that quarter point and the 3/4 point. The B determines the period, but it's pi over B. The C is a phase shift, but we don't really worry about adjusting it because we find the asymptotes using that. Oh, this guy should be plus. I thought I changed it. Okay, that should be B parentheses X plus C. So I'm going to take whatever's inside the parentheses. I'm going to set it equal to 0. I'm going to solve, and that's the first asymptote, which if I go left to right ends up being the middle one. Then I subtract the period from the one on the left, from that one to get the one on the left, and I add the period to get the one on the right.
So it's the middle one.
It's the first asymptote you find end up being the middle asymptote of your graph. Yep, and it'll say draw 2 periods, so you're going to have 3 asymptotes.
Can you draw a cotangent?
Yeah, let me go through the last topic, and then we'll go back to the actual examples. Give me a number between -5 and +5. Sine or cosine?
Cosine.
So secant. Okay, let's say we're going to graph this. Okay, so the very first thing I would do is graph cosine, which means my A is what? 4, and that's my amplitude. My B is what? 1/2, so the period is 2 pi over 1/2, which becomes 4 pi. And there's a vertical shift up 1. So then I got to go my key points. My key points, because there's no phase shift, is going to start at 0, and then it's going to be that 4 pi times 1/4 times 1/2 times 3/4, and then the last one is 4 pi. So pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. There's my 5 key points.
Why do we count by quarters?
That's how you find all the key points. Yeah. Then I start at the amplitude, 1, 2, 3, 4, before the vertical shift, 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. So I am here, 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 because it's a positive cosine. Then I find my asymptotes before I do the vertical shift. Good. Pi, 3 pi. Then I shift it up 1. And then I draw the parabolas.
I understand that, but like on the test, how would I just find it really quick? How would I find it?
I would find the period. If I have to know that it's the quarter point or 0, right? For a sine, then it's 0 plus half the period. For cosine, I have to find the period, find the quarter point, and it's that plus half the period. Because, were you throwing stuff at me? Because that's where the first asymptote occurs.
Okay, so I should probably memorize that for the test.
For the test.
Not for the quiz.
No, for the quiz, you should be able to look at this now and say, okay, my first asymptote is at pi,
I understand that.
and
I
then
don't
it's pi
understand
plus half the period. So it's pi plus half my 4 pi would be 2 pi k, or 2 pi n. That would be the asymptote, the equation for the asymptotes. On the test, it's going to ask you about the range. It's going to ask you about the domain. It's going to ask you anything else, because it's not going to. You're not going to physically graph it by hand.
The equation of the asymptote is just, it's like your first asymptote plus half your period.
Yeah. For secant and cosecant.
So this one
For tan and cotangent, it's the first asymptote plus the period.
So it's just pi in that case, right?
Well, in this case, if it was pi, yeah, but this is not cotangent, but yeah, it's just the period.
Is it cotangent just
Yep. So -4 cotangent 2x minus pi. Okay, so first of all, we said negative this time, which means my cotangent typically goes this direction. It's going to flip and go this direction, right? The 4 means that's how low I go on the quarter point and how high I go on the quarter point. So this thing's got to be at -4 and this one's got to be at +4. Then your B is what? 2, which means the period, huh? It's not, it doesn't have a name. The 4 is an A, but it's not an amplitude. It's the quarter and the 3/4. Yep. The period would be pi over 2, because the period is pi over B. And there is a phase shift, but we're not worried about like actually adjusting it using a phase shift, because what we do is we take that whole thing and we set it equal to 0. So 2x minus pi equals 0. 2x equals pi, which means the middle asymptote, the first one we find, which is going to become the middle asymptote, is at pi over 2. So if I go to my curve and I plot pi over 2, that's my middle asymptote. First one I found, but it's in the middle. Then I want one to the left and I want one to the right. So I'm going to take that pi over 2 and I'm going to subtract the period, which was also pi over 2. And that tells me my other asymptote is at 0. And then I'm going to take the pi over 2 that I found first and I'm going to add pi over 2 and I get pi, and that tells me that's my other asymptote. And then halfway between gets the 0. Normally a quarter of the way in I'm at -4 and 3/4 of the way I'm at +4, but because it had a reflection, we're going to flip it upside down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm down here.
Cotangent usually goes up to the right and down to the left.
Correct. Opposite of tan. So 2 asymptotes, 3 curves. 3 asymptotes, 2 curves.
Tan goes up to the left.
No, tan goes up to the right, down to the left.
And cotangent goes.
This is if it's this is if it's positive. This is a positive cotangent. We have to flip it to make it negative. The green is the ending answer, the flipped. And if I had to give these asymptotes, it would be x equals the first one I found, which was pi over 2, plus the period of cotangent, which is pi over 2. Okay. Okay, so then everything that was in yesterday, I didn't finish this. We can fill that out together. Okay, everything that was in yesterday and the day before's are your sum and difference formulas, your identities, and your double angle. These are going to either be verify, simplify, like you did in the day before yesterday, right? Where we know what the right side has to be, and we have to get it to that point. Or it's just simplify, and the goal is to get it as simple as possible. Or they are going to be built into your equations, okay? Where you have to either, separate them out using the sum and difference formulas, or using an identity to replace one with the other, and then solve it. So you could see them all those different ways. The sum and difference, you're going to see either like sine of pi over 3 plus 7 pi over 6, or that sum and difference could be built into your equation like the examples from yesterday.
Wait, we're not doing the pi over 2 one, right? Or are we going to do it?
You could have the cofunction one. Yeah.
Can you show us an example of when we have to use cofunction?
Sure.
I don't think that was in that homework.
Sure. And then the double angle, let's add on. So sine, let's put it in the order it is. Sine of 2u is equal to what? What's the formula for double angle sine? 2 sine u, cosine u. How about cosine 2u?
Cosine squared minus sine squared.
Good. What's the next one? 2 cosine squared minus 1. And the other one? 1 minus 2 sine squared u. So there's a Quizlet with these things, but if you don't know these, you've got now, 23 hours to have them memorized, okay? Okay, so an example, let me actually, wait. So sine of pi over 2 minus theta is cosine of theta. And then tan is what? Tan would be what? Tan is what? Sine over cosine. So then we could cancel out the cosines, and my answer would just be sine.
So only if it's like the pi over 2.
Only if it's pi over 2 minus an angle can it be a cofunction.
The other way around.
If it's the other way around, it's going to be your sum and difference. Or if it was plus sum and difference. Or it's pi instead of pi over 2, sum and difference.
Okay.
The only time you use the cofunction
Wait.
is if it's pi over 2 minus an angle.